Welcome to ET English, the unique English language learning feature of Education Times. This recording is brought to you by Panthea Gunathilaka, the founder of Cleon, Academy for Speech, Drama and Leadership. The Education Times comes to you every week with the Sunday Times, a leading publication of Vijaya Newspapers Limited. ET English introduces a unique way of learning English through stories. It has a short novel and also a picture story, both of which are being published in episodes every week. All the lessons and activities that are given in the feature are from these two stories. Many English scholars accept that when you learn a language through stories, you remember them better. Further, the picture story will complement this by adding the visual component as well, where it will help the readers create vivid images in their minds, helping them remember those dialogues and the words through these incidents. Now we're going to bring the audio version of this feature, where you can listen to the stories and the lessons. First the picture story, secondly the novel, and finally the lessons. Both the stories in this feature are based on stories from the short story book by Mr. Asghar Hussain and published by Vijayapa Publications. To get the best out of this feature, we suggest that you get a copy of the Education Times and also a dictionary. Also, it will help if you read the feature once or twice on your own. At the same time, try to get the correct pronunciation by listening to audio attentively and repeatedly and trying to read it after every dialogue, emulating the voices that you hear. We shall start now. Today, we bring you the last episode, which is episode number 10 of the picture story And All Because of a Fag, based on a story by Asghar Hussain. Illustrations by Anton B. Pereira. Ravi was dazed and speechless.
Get up, you rascal!
After being hammered mercilessly, Ravi falls flat on the ground.
Dog! You pariah!
Now he couldn't even hear anything. Suddenly, the thugs heard a whistle and were dumbfounded. The hefty man flashed his knife again.
Go to hell!
Suddenly, the shopkeeper shouted.
Please, please!
Instantly, the thugs scurried away like rats.
Run! Run!
It took Ravi several seconds to realize that he was now surrounded not by killers, but by kind men in khaki.
Oh, thank God.
Ravi managed to get up with the support of the constable.
I only came here for a fag.
Await our new picture story from next week, I Jenners, the story of teenagers born to the internet age. Let's start with the short story. Episode 10. The short story, A Good Medical Boy, continues. taken from The Mirror of Paradise by Asghar Hussain. It was about a week before we saw the broker again. He was standing under a large tree not far from the campus gates. Rajpal walked up to him, but he thrust out his hand and said, "Malli, please leave me alone. I know all about you." About half an hour later, when we were having tea at the canteen, I noticed that my friend looked upset. I asked him why, but instead of replying, he made some disparaging remarks about the broker. Then he insulted the Herats, as he had done a few times after the ordeal, saying their talk revealed a typical Burgenese mentality. He also complained about how badly their daughter had played the piano. Yes, it was terrible, I agreed. Rajpal was thoughtful for a while. Then he said something that upset me. He said he felt like posing as a medical student again. I ignored him and looked around. A girl at the next table was reading a newspaper, so I glanced at the headlines. He too turned to read it. Suddenly, his face brightened up and he said in an excited tone, "The papers! It's in the papers!" That Sunday, Rajpal bought a copy of the Sunday Times. He carefully went through the matrimonial columns and, pausing over a particular ad, circled it with his pen. It read, "Prosperous Kandyan Govibudhi's parents seek for their fair, beautiful daughter, 20 years, 5'4", a smart groom under 26 from a respectable family. Medical students or doctors preferred. Other high-status professionals also considered." "It's just what I was looking for, Machan," he told me. He wrote down the phone number on a scrap of paper. I accompanied him as he went to the payphone. He dialed the number, put on a suave accent, and spoke as the father of a boy proposed. He said that he was one Mr. Unambua, and that his son was a smart medical student at Peradeniya. Let's start the activity for lesson 10. We start with activity 1. In this, we find that reading is an exercise of guessing the meanings of unfamiliar words. So what you have to do is read the sentences taken from the text and guess the meaning of each word underlined in them. And select the most appropriate similar word from the words given within brackets and underline it. The first one. Rajpal walked up to him, but he thrust out his hand. The answer is pushed. The second one. I noticed that my friend looked upset. The answer, troubled. The third one. He made some disparaging remarks about the broker. The answer is disdainful. The fourth one. Then he insulted the Herats. The correct answer is offended. The fifth one. Their talk revealed a typical bourgeois mentality, which means a middle-class mentality. The sixth one. Yes, it was terrible, I agreed. Answer is appeasing. The seventh one. Rajpal was thoughtful for a while.
means contemplative. The 8th one, I ignored him and looked around, means overlooked. The 9th question, he carefully went through the matrimonial columns. Answer is marital. The 10th, he dialed the number, put on a suave accent and spoke, means polished. Activity 2 is where you have to read the text and find the word opposite to meaning to the words given. There are 5 words: after, near, disagreed, carelessly, and ugly. Activity 3. Give the passive voice of the following sentences. The first one, he insulted the Heorats. The second one, I ignored him. The third one, he wrote down the phone number on a scrap of paper. The fourth one, I accompanied him. The fifth one, he dialed the number. Moving on to activity 4, you have to match the comprehension questions in column A with their corresponding responses in column B. The first one, when Rajpal walked up to talk to the broker, what did he do? The answer is in C. He thrust out his hand and asked him to leave him alone. The second one, what did Rajpal say to upset the speaker? The answer is in A. He said he felt like posing as a medical student again. The third question, where did the speaker accompany Rajpal? The answer is B. He accompanied Rajpal to the payphone. The fourth one, how did Rajpal speak as the father of a boy proposed? The answer is E. He spoke in a suave accent. The fifth one, what did Rajpal say over the phone as the father of the boy proposed? The answer is in D. He said that he was one Mr. Unambur and that his son was a smart medical student at Peradeniya. Let's move on to the word bank. Today we have 18 words with their similar words and meanings. The first one, daze, means in a confused state. The second one, speechless, which means unable to speak. The third one, hammered, means to hit something or somebody hard many times. The fourth one, merciless, showing no kindness or pity. The fifth one, pariah, means a person not acceptable to society. The sixth one, thug, means a violent person, especially a criminal. The seventh one, dumbfounded, means surprised or shocked so much that you are unable to speak. Eighth one, flash, to show something to somebody quickly. The ninth one, scurry, means to run with quick, short steps. The 10th one, thrust, means to push out quickly. The 11th one, disparage, means to suggest that somebody or something is not important. The 12th one, insult, is to say or do something that offends somebody. The 13th one, bourgeois, meaning to the middle class. The 14th one, pose, means to pretend to be somebody in order to trick other people. The 15th word is ignore, which means to pay no attention to something. The 16th one, matrimonial, means connected with marriage. The 17th one, accompany, means to go somewhere with somebody. The last and the 18th word, suave, means refined or courteous and polished. That's the end of the activity time for Lesson 10.
Dear listeners, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our recordings. You're welcome to give us your feedback and suggestions on the phone numbers and the email address given in the ET English feature in the Education Time section. We meet again next week. The recording was brought to you by Panthea Gunathilaka, the founder of Cleon Academy for Speech, Drama and Leadership. Until then, goodbye and happy learning.